Bitcoin has been getting hit recently, and the overall crypto market has been in absolute chaos. We're seeing big speculations that there's some big type of whale sell-off. We're seeing speculation that there's some manipulation going on, where one group of whales are trying to shake the market up and drop that price down in order to liquidate another whale once it hits their stop losses, in order to buy all the reserves and then make that whale go bankrupt. I mean, there are so many speculations going on, and everyone is in complete confusion, honestly, at this point. But what I wanted to talk about today is overall where the future truly does lie with Bitcoin. Where does the future truly lie with cryptos at the moment? Because it seems as if there's some trend that I'm noticing within the communities that I'm in, whether that be the Patreon, whether it be the YouTube community, whether it be on Discord groups. And I kind of want to give my opinion on this because it's given me, clarity. It's given me ease of mind throughout all of these different moments as I'm seeing maybe thousands and thousands of dollars get lost in my own portfolios. And I think that it can truly be applied to many of you all, and I hope that you do find some value in today's video. So with that being said, let's go ahead and of course, let's get into the video. So with that being said, while we do consider where the future lies with Bitcoin and what the honest truth about Bitcoin is, I think it's important to not only think about that, but to think about the past and to think about where it's come from and how things are different. Because the reason I think that it's important to see how things are different and how things have changed is because there are loads of comparisons being made to previous bull markets. Well, the majority of us do know that Bitcoin and crypto itself has seen these different cycles. It's seen these different runs where we've seen a specific amount of time where that will see an increase and then a specific amount of time that will see a decrease, right? These whole different indicators that we run off of. And if one of these indicators just so happens to run parallel to another indicator in the past, well, then that means it must be the same exact thing is going to happen. For example, whenever we look in the past, we look at 2013, whenever we look at 2017, 2018, whenever we take a look at these different bull runs we've seen that, for example, the 21-week EMA. This is going to be an indicator basically on the trading, the charts whenever you're actually doing technical analysis on Bitcoin itself. And basically, for short, once the price in the past has cleared through that indicator, once it's cleared through that 21 EMA, that has been a sign in the past that the bull market has ended, because after that, the bull market would end. Well, we saw it this week, right? We saw in the last about 10 days that we did see that the price did fall through the 21 EMA, and everyone ran for the hills, freaked out, panicked, saying that, oh, the bull run must be over. The reasoning is because that is what happened in the past. Well, people have also been saying, well, no, that doesn't make sense because it's too early, because in the past, it has been 18 months or it's been a certain amount of time that these bull markets would run. And if, they haven't made it that amount of time, well, there's no way that the bull market could be over just yet, because that's not how it's gone in history. And one thing I want people to think about, and one thing that I think is very important for people to understand and not stress about too much, is that times are different. I do believe that watching these indicators and understanding these trends and watching these patterns that are set through each bull run is important as long as they are running in parallel with each other. Okay, as we are seeing some of these things happen, as we are seeing some of these different, very close similarities be made, it's important to note them because it can help us somewhat predict where the next one can go. But once that trend is broken, once that pattern is broken, it's very important to stop stressing so much about it because we are still setting precedent. And that's one thing that I think people tend to forget. Bitcoin and crypto, and overall, again, the cryptosphere itself, we're still at the base level. We're still at the fundamental foundation of this entire thing, in my opinion, at least. We have to be realistic in the sense that the overall potential in how cryptocurrency can be applied to the world itself is just at a very small amount of what the true potential is, okay? And so at the end of the day, whenever we consider the fact that Bitcoin, crypto itself, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, all of these large cryptocurrencies that have so much potential of application within many and almost honestly any aspect of the world itself, and the fact that it's only really applied to a small fraction of everyday life and society, with less than 5% of the total population investing in the cryptocurrencies, we have to think that this is just the foundation. And so realistically, as you are setting foundation, as you are doing that, when have we ever seen foundation get laid and, and these different barriers and obstacles come around that aren't different, right? As anyone knows, whenever you're making a new business, whenever you're creating a new company, when you're doing anything, you will run into new obstacles that you have not seen in the past. That doesn't mean that you won't run into the same obstacles in the past, but there are new things that will arise as you go forward. And that's what I believe that we are going to continue to see from Bitcoin. We are going to see trends get broken. We are going to see patterns get broken. Does that mean just because we passed through the 21 EMA that the bull run is over just because that's what's happened in the past? No, because times are different. And I know it's easy to say, well, times are different, but what I want to go ahead and do is I have a few different things pulled up here that can just show you some statistics and it can show you some numbers. You can get a true, genuine idea of how different times truly are to understand that with different times come different obstacles. So as we can see here, we are looking at the term cryptocurrency on Google Trends itself to get an overall idea of how people have been searching for it, how people have been looking for it, and where these overall trends have gone. Well, as we can see here, the first major bull run that we saw from in Bitcoin was going to be in 2013, which would be somewhere around here. As you can see here, no one was really searching this in comparison to what it is now. Well, let's think back to 2017, 2018, whenever this thing was running. Everyone was talking about Bitcoin. I remember being in the high school halls with everybody saying, yo, do you know what Bitcoin is? What is cryptocurrency? Everyone was really excited. Like, what is this? Okay. When it first hit limelight, when it first went mainstream, we saw this thing here. Well, look in comparison to now. Look at the overall widespread adoption and the mass spread of popularity of cryptocurrency itself in comparison to when it first went mainstream. I mean, it is very, very different. It is a very massive increase in comparison. And so that's one thing that people need to think about is the idea that there's so many more people to this space. The popularity is growing daily, and that as it does grow, new investors come around. I have this statistic pulled up here that says a recent cryptocurrency stat revealed that there are 28,000 social media posts on Bitcoin posted online daily. If we do the math, then about 1,203 posts are made every hour. That is about 20 posts per minute. While we have been talking in this video for the last 6 to 7 minutes, that means there's been over 100 posts made on Bitcoin just in that small amount of time. Well, also one thing we have to consider is what comes with that. As it is growing in popularity and attracting all of these new investors, what attracts big money too. We can see here the overall institutional trading volumes just in Q4 of 2020, just last year, had 5 times than what it was over the last 2 to 3 years. That's a very small span. And if we do look at that in an overall sense, it has gone up over 30x. From 2013 to now. And so with that being said, we can kind of just clearly see, okay, what comes along with that? Because that's important. That's something we need to pay attention to. When it comes to big money, when it comes to these institutions who are going to be having hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars worth of Bitcoins, we have to truly understand that these price fluctuations are going to be a lot different. Because in the past, we have to consider whenever we saw, 2013, even honestly 2017, when institutional investment was decently sized, but not of the vast, vast amount that it is now, that the overall price swings and the price movements were going to be a little bit different, right? Because at the time, the majority was retail investors, a vast group of people who owned smaller amounts of Bitcoin themselves, but they made such a large accumulation that we would start to sometimes see these big swings if there was a lot of FUD, uncertainty, doubt, things like that. Well, now we have to consider that there's other influences, and the fact that there are so many institutional investors within this space that we can see these large swings as just maybe one firm could manipulate the price clearly up to 10 to 20 to 30%. The firms, these big institutional investors, realistically, and I don't want to be that guy, but they don't want to see us win. They don't want to see the retail investor win. And they will do what they can. They will manipulate the markets. They will sell all of this in order to shake up these people, to get some of these emotional investors, some of these brand new investors who just heard about Bitcoin for the very first time through Twitter. They are going to do what they can do to shake them out in order to be able to buy back in as lower prices as they understand the future capabilities and they understand the potential that cryptocurrency has in the world in general, and they want to capitalize on it as much as they want to. So we have to consider, as time does go on, we will see these more massive wild swings until we can truly get a Bitcoin that has so much volume, that has such a widespread and range that we can start to see it stabilize out a little bit. But that could definitely be years and years to come. Not just in terms of overall how many cryptos there are out there, right? Because we have to consider the fact that Bitcoin and all of these different ones, as there are more cryptos that get spread out, there's more appeal, right? We're going to see maybe a crypto that appeals to fox lovers. We'll see a crypto that appears or appeals to breweries and appeals to this and appeals to that, and overall has a more appeal range that could drag more people into the crypto market. In 2013, there were only 15 cryptocurrencies listed on the coinmarketcap.com website. At that time, the total market cap was worth $1.5 billion. As compared to now, there are 9,000, almost 10,000 cryptos listed on just coinmarketcap.com with over 381 exchanges at a market cap of $1.5 trillion. So think about those multiples, because that is a very, very substantial increase. That's a 10x in market cap alone, with hundreds and thousands of new cryptos being added to just CoinMarketCap. According to a study, there are over 900 new crypto projects that are developed on many different platforms and blockchains every single day. And we have to, again, consider, as that does grow, as more people do start to get more appeal to certain different projects that might meet their own morality, their own morals, well, that is going to bring these new investors in. And realistically, as they are tied to these projects, these new projects, as they are tied to these new cryptos that are typically going to be smaller in price, that is going to lead to more emotional investing. And so as I do bring up all these statistics, the reason why I am bringing up all these numbers is again to remind people that these times are not the same times when it comes to overall sentiment, whenever it comes to overall conditions, as they were in the past. And so relying too much mentally on what we saw in the past to try to predict what's going to happen in the future is only going to stress you out, okay? Because the moment something changes, the moment something's different, you're not going to understand why it's so different, why you were wrong in a sense. And from that, you will develop way too much stress that is completely unnecessary. Rather, what gives me the ease of mind, what gives me peace and mental clarity is the idea that we are laying the foundation and the reasoning as to why I bought crypto in the first place. I'm a strong believer that major developments are going to be made within the world in the future that will implement cryptocurrency, because the overall idea behind cryptocurrency is completely revolutionary. Whenever I start to think about the idea of cryptocurrency being able to free some of these different countries from some of their absolutely destructive currency systems and economies, whenever we think about the fact that it can help counter against inflation in many of these countries whose dollar has just decreased by multiples of 50 to 100 times in the span of 7 years. When we think about the application of that, when we think about the application of blockchain itself, or the idea of decentralization whenever it comes to the protection of maybe information, right? As we are in the information era. As we think about all of these things, it brings me back to the realization that that is what the future holds. And I am very, very set in stone in my head and my heart that that is where this is going with crypto. So yeah, for now, if we see a 50% fall, if we see a 40% fall, if we see Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies themselves drop for the next 2 or 3 years straight, that is what it is. But in the big picture, we have not even scratched the surface of the true capabilities of cryptos. And that, in my opinion, is why I do 100% believe that no matter what we see in the short term, that in the long term, there will be massive and major spreading and massive and major growth within cryptocurrencies. And that's why I truly believe that my investments are secure, even if they do fall right now, that forever in the future, we will see these things return back to normal no matter what we see, no matter what indicators say the bull run's over, or this is over, or that's over. In the future, there is growth. In the future, there is more widespread adoption. And in the future, there is potential for this thing to absolutely change the world. So that's why I do believe that's where I'm at. That's why I'm not stressed out at the moment. I truly just believe that what we are seeing at the moment is what it is. We're laying foundation. We're setting precedent. And in the next big bull run, whenever we look back, and who knows, maybe we start to see this thing drop below the EMA one time, then it returns above the EMA, and we hit 70,000 right now after a lot of this market manipulation ends. And then in the next bull run, we see this thing drop below the EMA. We see this thing drop below the EMA, it returns above the EMA, and everyone's going to be like, oh, look, this is what happened last time, so this is what's going to happen this time. And it's going to be something that goes forward. But me personally, I will understand that until we can see this thing truly revolutionizing the world, that we're still setting precedent. We're still setting the foundation, and that things will change that we can't anticipate based off of, reading the charts from the past or reading any indicators from the past as well. So I hope this guide, this does just give you guys some extra value. I hope it does give you some other type of enlightenment that you may not have thought of in any type of way. If that is the case, you of course can let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new. Again, everyone just relax, okay? You stick to your morals, stick to your reasonings, stick to the overall psychologies and philosophies that you have established as an investor. And I promise you that in the long run, if you do so, that you will see yourself as a successful investor. I don't consider myself to be a successful investor, but I do consider myself to be someone who has found success in the investment space. But there's, of course, always rooms to grow. But these are things that I apply to myself in order to have seen the success that I have in the past. So with that being said, again, I will see you all very, very soon. You guys know the drill. I post on this channel 2 to 3 times every single day, and I can't wait to see you all next time. Peace.